Hey there, welcome to the Mountain of God. My name is Kamil. Today is 27th of May 2021. Welcome to video number 37. Today, as the title says, I just want to talk about trust. I want to look at it, how your relationship with your father could be or should be built so there would be like true trust as a base of it. Because let's say it straight, whether you've built your relationship with your wife, with your husband, with some of your friends, or with God in that situation, these are simple relationships. Meaning, a relationship doesn't exist if there's no trust, because everything in relationship is about trust. But interestingly enough, to be able to have trust in between people who are part of this relationship, there has to be something that you can build your trust on. Because trust it's not just there. Trust is confirmed by things that happen, and you can see that whatever was said or whatever someone promised, that this thing happened. And then you can say, okay, the next time I'll hear something like some promises, I'll know that they'll be fulfilled. That's that simple. And you see, the problem is that with many Christians that I met, I find this very peculiar way of saying that we trust God. If something happens and so many people say, I trust God, I put everything in God's hands. And when I ask them what does that mean exactly, they basically say that they're gonna do nothing. They're just gonna wait for things to happen. And I always ask myself mainly, because I don't want to stir the pot, but maybe I should. What does it even mean? Because if you just wait for things to happen, it may, but it may not have anything to do with God's will. And I get it. In the long run, He'll do whatever He wants. That's obvious. But if you say that you don't know what's going to happen, so you basically do nothing, or just let circumstances tell you what supposedly is the will of God, then you're lying. Because to be honest, you have to say, I don't know what is the will of God, so I'm just gonna wait. But interestingly enough, many times when we say that we wait for the will of God, we're gonna trust Him, kind of at the same time that we say that we're gonna trust you, we try to cover all our bases. It makes no sense. Because, this whole sentence makes no sense. Because if you don't know what you can expect, you cannot trust. You can trust in a general truth that He'll never gonna leave you, that He's gonna take care of you. I get it. But in this particular situation, there is no trust because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're supposed to trust. So why would you say that you do? So that's why, you see, one of the things that I think it's a very important to understand that we have to be accountable for what we're saying. And one of those things is trust. And trust is not existent if there's no promise. So that's why there are three major things that I would suggest to look at it. Just to think how much of that you understand and you apply, so you could really say that you trust God. First of all, as I said, you have to know what is exactly the thing that is promised to you. And you don't want to know the general truth. You want to know as much detail as you can. Because the whole point is like, let's take a very simple example. That probably it might be or maybe is something that you going through that right now. Let's say that your company started to basically terminate the cooperation with its. They're just going to fire people. You don't know if you're going to be fired, but you cannot be sure if you will be fired. So then, the first thing that I will always tell you, just go to your father and ask him what you're supposed to do at this situation. How are you supposed to prepare? And then if you hear nothing, then you're going to probably end up as this one of these people who will say, no, I'm going to trust God. But the whole point is to hear, no matter how it's going to be told you, how it's going to be spoken to you, or how this message is going to be delivered to you. You want to know what is exactly that you're supposed to trust. Will I Will I stay in this job, or when I'm going to be fired? And the easiest way to start with that is just asking a closed questions, meaning yes or no questions. That's much easier than basically learn how to understand, very complex reply to your question. Yes or no seems enough. At the beginning, it's going to work, like a charm. But then, okay, let's say that you're going to get information that you will be fired. What then? What are you supposed to do? Do I supposed to, look for another job? Do I supposed to sit and wait for something to happen? Because even if God will say, I'm going to give you a job, what does it mean? Do I supposed to really look for it? Or are you going to give me someone who's going to find me and give me something to do, and they'll pay me for it? You see, so that's like very simple thing. You'll be able to trust your God if you know what you can trust, or what you're supposed to trust to. So that's the first thing. Get as much detail as you can. And one of those details, being point number 2, you've got to know what is exactly that you're supposed to do. Because if that's the situation that you're supposed to look for work, okay, which one? Do I just supposed to send all CVs to everything that comes my way? Or if we, start talking and he's telling you to look for something specific, he'll tell you look for that company, not anything else. And you've got to know, if he will tell you no, don't look for the job. I've got someone for you that will reach out to you. Awesome, but there's point number 3: how long it's gonna take. You see, the whole idea is the less you know, the harder it is to trust, because you don't know what you're supposed to really count on. Because let's say that God will tell you, I'm going to give you the job. Great. It's going to happen this week or in 6 months. Because if he'll tell you going to get this week, cool. You'll accept the fact that you'll be fired. No problem. We're going to go through this. But if he'll tell you, I'll give you the job, and you don't ask for more details, what if you'll have to wait for 6 months to get it? You're going to get anxiety. And you're going to be stressed because, you'll see your funds basically melt like an ice cube. And then it's going to be stressful. But that's the whole point. You didn't get the final information, how long it's supposed to take. So there are 3 major things. You've got to know what is the thing that you're supposed to do in general. But look at the details. Ask as much questions as you can, including what you're supposed to do, what are you exactly supposed to do, and 3, how long it's going to take. What is the time frame that this thing might happen? Because you've got to understand that nothing will make you trust or be a baseline that you'll be able to put your trust on is the amount of details. You see, it comes to very simple things like your work or something. We know that it's crucial. You cannot just overthink it and say, God will take care of me. What does it mean? How long it's going to take? Because you're going to say that he's going to take care of you, and then for the next 6 months you're going to be excited, and people will look at you and say, well, that's trust. Nothing happened for 6 months. Nice. And you see, when you start with these things, then you understand when you're going towards your calling and everything, you cannot be someone who is not trustworthy. Because you say one thing and then something else happens or nothing happens. And I've seen this kind of pastors, I've seen this kind of ministries. They come, they prophesy, they tell you that this or that's going to happen, and then nothing happens. And unfortunately, church is doing nothing about it. It's cool. Nothing happened. Well, too bad. No. It's not acceptable. In the Old Testament, you'll be basically stoned to death. Because you cannot be trusted. And not even worse, you won't be able to go outside of people and say to them that you've got a great God that he'll solve all of your problems. That at the same time, you're not able to solve the simplest problems because you don't know how to talk to him. And you don't know how to ask for details, you don't know how to trust them, and you're complete theorist about it. And that's why it starts in our lives, like day-to-day lives, and then we bring it to the church, and that's why church looks like how it looks like. It's unacceptable. Because one of the things that I've learned throughout the years, and this is something that my earthly father, taught me, that was very smart of him, very wise to tell me that. He said, never put never put words in God's mouth that there wasn't spoken to you. Because we are living in grace, and so we don't kind of understand how heavy this thing is. And you will never be using anything if you were this kind of person. So that's why I think this is what I want you to take from this video. I don't want to make it long. This is that simple. Relationship with your father is like every other relationship. It's built on trust. And if you want to be able to trust him, you'll have to learn how to hear his voice, how to be able to, or not only hear his voice, but be able to ask for detailed information. What is exactly that you're supposed to understand? What is the thing that you're supposed to trust? What's going to happen? What am I supposed to do with this? Do I supposed to just sit and wait? Or do I supposed to practically do something about it? Because many times the prophecies or the promises that God will give you, they'll be connected. If you're going to do this, I'm going to do that. So that's why you don't want to miss that, because that's going to be really important if you want to get what he promises to you, right? And then you've got to know what is the time frame. How long am I supposed to wait, or how long am I supposed to do what I'm supposed to do to get what you promised? Because the only way to change your own experience and then your ability to kind of be trustworthy, not in the church only, but to take it outside and be able to be trustworthy with other people and help them with your knowledge and the relationship with your God, will be based on how good you are in doing it yourself in your own private and personal life. So think about it and do something about it. Because all you need is to learn to hear the message as detailed as possible, then just basically do what you've been told to do, and do it or wait as long as you've been asked to wait. Because in that moment, you understand that your religion or your Christian philosophy, which is based on wishful thinking, will turn into very powerful relationship with your Father that will change not only your life, but it will change the life of everyone who will ever ask you to pray for anything. And that's gonna be a game changer. If you like this video, like, share, and comment. If you didn't, comment as well. Tell me what you think and what is your experience. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, well, just give me a shout. I'll be glad to do it for you. That being said, see you tomorrow.